The concealed prayer that unlocks divine favor and causes blessings to cascade into your life has been hidden for generations, protected as a sacred code, known only to a select few who discovered its extraordinary power to transform destinies. Have you ever wondered if there exists a divine formula so profound and ancient that it can shift the course of your entire existence in mere moments? A heavenly key so magnificent that it can summon favor supernaturally, causing doors to open for you today that you never thought possible? Very few have gained access to this protected mystery because its strength is so immense it would revolutionize the life of anyone who speaks it with true understanding. That is why it was guarded, even concealed deliberately to ensure it remained in the hands of those spiritually prepared to wield its power. However, today that sacred veil is about to be lifted, because in this journey, step by step, the secret will be revealed that will enable you to convert your deepest desires for breakthrough into visible reality, concrete, immediate and life-changing. But before I share this revelation that countless seekers have searched for throughout history without success, it is absolutely essential that you grasp why this is not merely another religious recitation or a simple request to the heavens. What if I told you that the distinction between merely praying and actually decreeing is the fundamental key that unlocks the door to instantaneous manifestation of divine favor? Have you ever considered that ancient sacred words could be spoken with such authority that they transform every syllable into a magnet for heavenly intervention? What you are about to encounter not only contradicts conventional religious understanding, but also represents a spiritual pathway that is both perilous and magnificent, designated exclusively for those courageous enough to penetrate the mysteries of the divine and receive a blessing that only a handful throughout all of history have been privileged to experience. This sacred code is not something disclosed randomly or casually. It is a disciplined process that demands spiritual preparation and deep comprehension. The promise is undeniable. In the minutes ahead you will begin to uncover how to invoke a power that will cause divine favor to flood your life this very day in a rapid and supernatural manner. But to arrive at that manifestation, you must first profoundly understand the essence of this decree, how it fundamentally differs from any prayer you have previously known, and why its power is so revered that it was maintained in secrecy for centuries upon centuries. So before you can receive this transformative decree, it is absolutely imperative that you concentrate your entire being on this foundational truth. This is not an ordinary prayer. It is a proclamation of authority that reshapes reality itself, and this understanding will be the key that conducts you to complete revelation. Prepare your spirit, because what you will discover in the moments ahead will not only challenge everything you believed about divine intervention, but will transport you to a dimension of spiritual connection with heavenly favor that the vast majority have never reached. In the following step we will unveil the critical distinction between a conventional prayer and this divine decree so you can comprehend why this secret is so powerful that it will cause favor to pour upon you from the heavens themselves today. Remain focused because the gate toward that manifestation is on the verge of opening. The ancient ones who first discovered this hidden prayer understood something that has been lost to most of modern spirituality. They recognized that words spoken with authority in the spiritual realm carry weight that transcends human understanding. They knew that when you align your voice with the frequency of heaven itself, mountains move, seas part and destinies shift in an instant. This is not about hoping or wishing. This is about commanding with the authority that was given to you from the foundation of the world. The hidden prayer that unlocks divine favor operates on a completely different wavelength than ordinary religious practice. It bypasses the limitations of human effort and taps directly into the source of all breakthrough. When you speak these words with conviction, you are not asking permission from the universe. You are declaring what already exists in the spiritual realm and commanding it to manifest in your physical reality. Think about this for a moment. How many prayers have you spoken in your lifetime that seemed to disappear into the void? How many requests have you made that appeared to go unanswered? The difference was not in God's willingness to bless you. The difference was in the authority with which you spoke. The hidden prayer changes everything because it positions you not as a beggar hoping for mercy, but as a rightful heir claiming their inheritance. Before we proceed, write your first name in the comments to activate your blessing and signal your readiness to receive. This simple act is the first step in establishing your authority and opening the channels of heaven over your life. You have already grasped that we are not confronting an ordinary prayer, but something infinitely more powerful, a spiritual decree that possesses authentic and measurable power to revolutionize your entire existence. This is not a plea or a begging, it is an authoritative declaration that commands respect in the unseen dimensions where destinies are forged and realities are shaped. The hidden prayer that unlocks divine favor and causes blessings to cascade into your life does not limit itself to requesting, but commands with heaven's own authority that the gates of favor swing open this very day, causing breakthrough to flow swiftly and without hindrance toward you. Today we do not beg anymore, today we decree. The season of pleading has come to its end. The hour has dawned to grasp the scepter of decree, that celestial instrument that strikes with force in the spiritual realm, compelling divine favor to manifest without delay. You are not a servant hoping for temporary relief, but a commander who with unwavering and confident voice dictates the transformation their life was created for. Like a blazing sword that severs the bonds of limitation, this decree becomes your weapon of power to attract the favor that seemed beyond reach. Your words now carry weight and reverberate through the heavenly spheres. Every syllable you utter activates spiritual forces that labor ceaselessly so that divine favor comes to you today in a swift and astonishing manner. This is merely the beginning of your ascension in spiritual authority. The path you are embarking upon will guide you to completely master this force until reaching the summit where nothing can prevent the abundant arrival of heavenly blessings into your life. But for this authority to remain stable, it must be confirmed by visible acts of faith, because without that confirmation the power is temporary and dissipates. That is why I invite you to take the first step in this sacred ceremony. Write in the comments your first name to activate the power of this blessing. By doing so, you begin to establish the difference, to sign with your very identity the decree that will cause favor to appear from the heavens today. It is not merely a formality, it is the action that validates your commitment and opens the channel so that the spiritual kingdom responds to your summons. But remember, authority without confirmation does not sustain itself, and that confirmation begins with the visible acts of faith that today I present to you. What follows will be a ceremony of commitment that will strengthen your position as architect of your divine destiny. A critical step so that this promise does not remain in words alone, but materializes with speed and transformative results. Stay attentive, because in the next phase I will guide you so that this act of faith becomes your personal ceremony, the seal that guarantees that the blessing of divine favor activates in your life immediately, causing breakthrough to come to you from the very throne room of heaven. The transformation is commencing and you are the central figure of this story of power and divine intervention. Throughout history, there have been men and women who understood this principle of decreeing rather than merely praying. They walked in an authority that caused kingdoms to tremble and impossibilities to bow before their faith. They did not accept circumstances as final. They spoke to their circumstances with the voice of authority and watched as reality rearranged itself to match their declarations. You stand at this same threshold today. The hidden prayer is not just about receiving favor, it is about stepping into the fullness of who you were created to be. It is about understanding that you were not designed to live as a victim of circumstance, but as a victor who shapes circumstance through the power of decreed words. When you grasp this truth, everything changes. The way you speak changes. The way you see yourself changes. The way heaven responds to you changes. This is why the enemy has worked so hard to keep this knowledge from you. If you truly understood the authority you carry, if you truly comprehended the power of your words when spoken in alignment with divine truth, there would be no limit to what you could accomplish. The gates that have been closed would fly open. The opportunities that seemed reserved for others would suddenly become available to you. The favor that appeared to be for everyone except you would begin flowing in your direction like a mighty river. Every decree demands a confirmation. Without that confirmation, authority does not sustain itself. And in this spiritual journey we begin, that confirmation has its origin in concrete acts of faith that this very day can revolutionize your reality. The hidden prayer that unlocks divine favor and causes blessings to cascade into your life is not only spoken with words, but is activated with gestures that demonstrate your commitment and your position as architect of your divine destiny. Every action you perform here is far more than a simple interaction on the screen. It is a visible covenant that heaven observes and acknowledges. A sacred act that confirms your decision to open the gates of favor so that breakthrough arrives rapidly and without hesitation. When you give your like, it will not be just an ordinary click. It will be your hand signing the covenant with divine favor, a silent agreement that proclaims your faith in the power of this decree. By doing this, you are permitting celestial forces to sense your intention and respond with immediacy to manifest the arrival of favor in your life this very day. But it does not conclude there. By writing in the comments your declaration of possession, you will be opening a spiritual portal, an entrance that connects your soul with the inexhaustible source of heavenly blessings. I invite you to write right now, I take possession of the hidden prayer that unlocks divine favor and causes blessings to cascade into my life. This is not just any statement, it is your spiritual seal. The signal that the universe awaits to activate the immediate flow of favor toward you. Your subscription to this channel is not simply joining a group, it is your official entrance into the current of divine intervention, an alliance with those who are also prepared to receive and multiply blessings. Being within this spiritual community strengthens the connection and guarantees that favor arrives with speed, because now you form part of a greater movement, a unified force that propels manifestation. And if you decide to share this blessing, you become a conduit of light and favor for others, multiplying the force of the decree and extending breakthrough beyond yourself. Remember that heaven is observing your response at this very moment, attentive to each gesture that confirms your commitment. Every click, every word, every action is interpreted as a covenant with the spiritual kingdom, a summons that cannot be ignored. This is not an invitation to pause or simply interact. It is a living ceremony, an act of faith that solidifies your authority so that favor manifests today rapidly and in an extraordinary manner. By sealing this covenant, something even more profound begins to occur. Your identity begins to transform. You are not the same person as before because by accepting this authority and declaring your possession, you are giving birth to a new version of yourself, a person who attracts favor with unshakable certainty. This is only the first step, but the most crucial so that the promise of divine favor is fulfilled in your life. Now that this seal has been marked, it is time to advance toward the next stage: internal transformation, the renewal of your spiritual identity. In the next step I will guide you so that this metamorphosis begins to manifest in the deepest part of your being, preparing the ground so that favor comes to you from mystery, from the hidden power you have just activated. Prepare to discover how to take that leap because the true miracle is about to begin. The acts of faith you are performing right now are not insignificant. They are creating ripples in the spiritual realm that will soon become waves of breakthrough in your natural circumstances. Heaven pays attention to those who demonstrate their seriousness through action. When you comment, when you like, when you subscribe and share, you are sending a clear message to the invisible forces that govern blessing and favor. You are declaring that you are not a passive observer of your own life, but an active participant in your divine destiny. Think of it this way. If someone offered you $1 million but required you to walk across the room to receive it, would you hesitate? Of course not. Yet so many people hesitate to take even the smallest steps of faith when eternal riches are being offered. The hidden prayer unlocks favor that is worth infinitely more than any earthly treasure, yet it requires your active participation. It requires that you step out of passivity and into authority. It requires that you move from hoping to decreeing, from wishing to commanding, from asking to claiming. By sealing the covenant with your visible acts of faith, something profound began to transform within you. The ancient identity that defined you as unworthy, overlooked and powerless begins to dissolve, and from its ashes emerges the true essence that was always destined to inhabit your being. You are no longer the one who accepts whatever comes your way. Today you clothe yourself with the sacred mantle of spiritual royalty, you are crowned as legitimate heir, and you elevate yourself to the position of ambassador of divine favor. This metamorphosis is not only symbolic, it is the key that opens the doors of breakthrough that seemed permanently locked, allowing favor to arrive from heaven, rapidly and without natural explanation, as a divine manifestation that responds to your new authority. If before you saw yourself forgotten, limited by circumstances and rejection, Today, the hidden prayer that unlocks divine favor clothes you with the armor of royalty who does not depend on human approval, but claims their inalienable right to heavenly blessing. The golden crown that now rests upon your head is not a simple decoration, but the symbol of your transformation. From being overlooked, you become a beloved child of the Most High, a king who commands and receives. Favor will not come to one who sees themselves as unworthy, but to one who occupies their throne with dignity, to one who claims their inheritance with conviction and profound faith. This identity change is vital so that favor appears in your life this very day, because without this new spiritual posture, divine blessings will remain distant like an unreachable dream. Feel how the mantle of royalty wraps around your shoulders, how the crown adjusts firmly, and how the scepter of celestial authority shines in your hand. You take one step beyond conventional prayer because you are no longer asking, you are declaring, you are claiming what by right belongs to you. The hidden prayer that unlocks divine favor is not for one who accepts rejection, but for one who sits at the banquet table and feasts on the breakthrough that arrives without delay. Your old chains of unworthiness break and a new fire begins to burn within you. A flame that propels the courage necessary to sustain this new identity and attract favor with speed and certainty. This transformation is the key that activates the immediate flow of blessings in your life. It is not a superficial change, it is a spiritual rebirth that puts an end to days of rejection and opens the way to real favor. The hidden prayer now acts as a living decree that causes favor to appear unexpectedly, that doors of opportunity open wide, and that breakthrough manifests with force this very day. And it is this new identity that emerges which ignites the first flame of courage within you, preparing your spirit to receive without fear and without doubts. As you feel how this metamorphosis advances, prepare for the next step. The activation of that first spark of courage that will consolidate your transformation and lead you to live the promised favor with firmness and conviction. The journey barely begins, but you are already closer than ever to experiencing favor coming to you from mystery, from the hidden power you have just awakened. This transformation of identity is perhaps the most critical element of the entire process. You cannot walk in favor while carrying an identity of lack. You cannot experience breakthrough while seeing yourself as perpetually disadvantaged. The hidden prayer works in conjunction with your self-perception. When you begin to see yourself as heaven sees you, as royalty, as beloved, as chosen, as favored, then the natural outworking of that identity is the manifestation of favor in your circumstances. Consider the great figures of Scripture who walked in extraordinary favor. They did not achieve that favor by accident or by mere luck. They carried themselves with an awareness of their divine calling and positioning. They spoke with authority because they knew who they were and whose they were. They did not shrink back in the face of opposition because they understood that the one who called them was greater than any obstacle they might face. This same spirit must arise within you now. The crown you wear is not pretend. It is real in the spiritual realm, and what is real in the spiritual realm eventually manifests in the natural realm. When you walk with the consciousness of royalty, when you speak with the voice of authority, when you carry yourself with the dignity of one who knows they are favored, the world around you has no choice but to respond accordingly. Doors that were closed to the old you will open to the new you. Opportunities that passed you by before will suddenly seek you out. People who ignored you will suddenly want to be in your presence because they will sense something different about you. Now that you have left behind the garment of unworthiness and have clothed yourself with the crown of legitimate heir, it is time to ignite within you a flame that no circumstance can extinguish: courage. This spark of courage is not a mere temporary emotion. It is the divine fire that sustains your new identity, the force that positions you alongside the hidden prayer that unlocks divine favor so that breakthrough comes to you rapidly and without natural explanation, opening the doors of opportunity that will swing wide this very day. Fear, shame, and self-doubt are invisible chains that for years have kept your spirit imprisoned, preventing you from accessing the favor that belongs to you by right. But today those chains are consumed in the embers of a spiritual fire that is born within you. This fire of courage grows from a small spark until it becomes an uncontrollable blaze that illuminates your path and dissipates the darkness that previously stopped you. Do not allow fear to rule your life, nor insecurity to steal your hope. Fear is a spiritual adversary that feeds on your doubts and distances you from the immediate manifestation of the promised favor. But when courage rises in your spirit, that adversary retreats, unable to sustain itself before the force of a determined heart. The lamp of your faith ignites in the midst of darkness, illuminating each step you take toward the conquest of favor that arrives without delay. This courage is not only necessary, it is indispensable so that the promise of the hidden prayer that unlocks divine favor is fulfilled in your life, so that breakthrough appears from heaven and doors of opportunity open as never before. Remember that this flame begins being small, almost imperceptible, but with each act of faith, with each declaration of your new identity, it grows and strengthens until nothing and no one can extinguish it. Today fear has no more dominion over you. The courage that burns within you is a sacred fire that purifies, that destroys invisible obstacles and that propels you toward the rapid manifestation of favor. This spiritual transformation is the bridge that connects your new identity with the reality you desire, a constant flow of breakthrough that arrives even today without weights or conditions. And while this flame ignites and expands within you, you prepare the way for something even greater. Because when the fire of courage burns with intensity, the heavens respond by summoning warrior angels, celestial forces that will open the portals of manifestation, ensuring that favor flows toward you with power and speed. In the next step you will discover how to invoke that celestial presence that works in your favor, definitively sealing your access to the promised breakthrough. Stand firm because the true spiritual battle is about to begin, and with it the arrival of favor that will change your life from this very instant. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite fear. It is the determination to speak the decree even when your circumstances seem to contradict your words. It is the commitment to maintain your confession of favor even when you cannot yet see the evidence with your natural eyes. The hidden prayer requires courage because it demands that you speak to your mountain before the mountain moves. It requires that you declare breakthrough before breakthrough appears. It requires that you walk in the authority of favor before the favor is fully manifested in your natural circumstances. This is the essence of faith. Faith is not waiting to see before you believe. Faith is believing before you see, and then watching as your belief creates the very reality you declared. Many people miss their breakthrough because they lack the courage to maintain their confession. They speak the decree one day, but when circumstances do not immediately change, they retreat back into fear and doubt. They allow the visible circumstances to override the invisible decree. But you must understand that the spiritual realm responds to persistence. It responds to those who refuse to back down. It responds to those who continue to decree favor even when everything around them seems to be saying the opposite. This is where most people fail. They have the revelation. They understand the principle. They even speak the words initially. But they lack the courage to maintain their position when the battle intensifies. You must be different. You must be among the few who refuse to surrender their decree regardless of how long it takes to manifest. The hidden prayer works, but it works for those who have the courage to stand on it until heaven responds. When the flame of courage burns with intensity in your spirit, heaven does not remain silent or indifferent. In that sacred instant, the celestial gates open wide and an army of light descends toward you, ready to open the barriers that prevented favor from coming to your life from heaven. You are not alone in this battle for breakthrough. Angelic forces clothed with power and glory march with firm steps to liberate the path toward the favor you deserve. Imagine bugles resonating in the firmament, celestial trumpets announcing the arrival of an invincible legion. The wings of angels beat with force, producing echoes that rumble like thunder, while the earth itself seems to tremble before the majesty of their descent. Each warrior of light carries a flaming sword, symbol of divine authority, capable of cutting any chain that binds your destiny. They are not mere ethereal figures, they are custodians, liberators and combatants who deploy in a display of power to open the closed doors of your favor. The invisible enemy, who until now seemed invincible, begins to retreat upon feeling the presence of this luminous legion. There is no longer room for fear or for doubts that slowed the arrival of rapid and miraculous breakthrough. The spiritual environment transforms. The invisible begins to manifest before your eyes and in your reality. The portals that retain divine favor open as never before, and the treasuries that seem sealed against you unfold with celestial grace, releasing an inexhaustible flow of heavenly blessings. Each angel has a clear mission. Some open the paths toward new opportunities, others release the stagnant energy that blocked favor, while the most daring combat and dissipate the forces that oppose your advancement. This army of light not only protects, but also propels your destiny toward an immediate manifestation of favor that arrives from heaven. The spiritual battle is underway and you are the center of this approaching victory. Now the spiritual panorama around you fills with movement and power. The sound of trumpets, the brightness of ignited swords and the firm step of the celestial army announce that the war for your favor has begun. This is not a common fight, but a divine confrontation where human courage has summoned celestial reinforcements so that breakthrough comes this very day to your life. And if the angels are already positioned and ready to act, it means that the spiritual warfare for your favor is about to explode. In the next step you will enter this sacred battle where faith and divine force will unite to guarantee that doors of opportunity open once and for all and that favor arrives without delay from heaven, transforming your reality forever. Stand firm because celestial victory is closer than you imagine. The angelic realm is more involved in your life than you realize. These are not distant, disinterested beings. They are ministers of fire, sent to serve those who will inherit salvation. When you decree with authority, when you speak the hidden prayer that unlocks divine favor, you activate angelic assistance. These mighty warriors who never sleep, who never grow weary, who possess power beyond human comprehension, are assigned to work on your behalf. Scripture tells us that angels are sent to minister to the heirs of salvation. You are an heir. You have inheritance. And part of that inheritance includes angelic assistance in bringing about the manifestation of your breakthrough. When you speak words of faith, angels go to work. When you decree favor, they begin to move pieces on the chessboard of your life. When you declare breakthrough, they start opening doors and creating opportunities that you could never manufacture through human effort alone. This is why it is so important to understand what you are doing when you speak the hidden prayer. You are not just saying words into empty air. You are activating forces in the spiritual realm. You are setting in motion divine machinery that works to align circumstances in your favor. You are calling upon resources that exist beyond the natural realm, resources that are more real and more powerful than anything visible to the natural eye. The angels are listening. They are responding. They are moving. And the result will be breakthrough that defies natural explanation. The angels are already deployed in the celestial field. Their trumpets rumble with force in the air and the roar of battle approaches. Now begins the decisive confrontation. Although the enemy that has besieged your life does not present itself before you in visible form, its power is as real as the invisible chains that for years have imprisoned you. Rejection, closed doors and disappointment are dark and tangible forces, spiritual warriors that have attempted to slow the arrival of favor from heaven to your life. But today, under the authority of the powerful decree inspired by the hidden prayer, those forces are forced to retreat, to fall like ancient walls torn down by an unstoppable army. The air fills with the sound of flaming swords that cut the sky, lightning that tears through darkness and war cries that announce imminent victory. Every closed door that seemed an invincible giant is now torn down by the breath of the Most High. Every chain of rejection breaks with the light that radiates from the celestial swords. The enemy tried to stop the flow of favor, wanted to hold with tooth and nail the doors of opportunity that remained closed, but was crushed by the power of the decree that now strikes with force in the spiritual world. The battlefield illuminates with divine lightning and the din of spiritual war rumbles in every corner of your destiny. You are not a passive spectator. You form part of this victorious army called to claim what by right belongs to you. You feel the weight of chains that shatter like glass under the sword of light, the fall of walls that kept you distant from true favor. This is not a symbolic or distant combat. It is a living and present confrontation, where faith and courage become weapons that destroy rejection and spiritual blockage. The favor that seemed a distant dream begins to manifest with speed, to arrive from heaven, while the portals of breakthrough open wide. The noise of battle does not cease, and with each strike of the decree rejection retreats a bit more. The dark forces that held you have been defeated, but the war has not yet ended. This is the hour when victory approaches and the conquered terrain is about to be claimed. Every cry of triumph, every lightning in the sky is the sign that divine power is taking absolute control. When this spiritual war concludes, it will be the moment to take definitive possession of the favor that already flows toward you, to open the doors of opportunity that remained closed for so long, and to receive the breakthrough that by sacred decree arrives this very day to your life from heaven. Prepare yourself, because in the next step you will enter the crucial stage where you will claim your conquered territory. The battle has been won in the invisible, and now, with faith and unshakable spirit, you will take the final step toward the complete manifestation of the favor that the hidden prayer has decreed for you. The spiritual victory translates into a constant and rapid flow of favor, and that moment is closer than ever. Understanding spiritual warfare is essential to walking in continuous favor. There is an adversary who does not want you to experience breakthrough. There are forces that benefit from your limitation and lack. When you begin to rise into your authority, when you start speaking decrees that unlock favor, you become a threat to the kingdom of darkness. This is why the battle intensifies when you begin to walk in this revelation. The enemy will throw obstacles in your path. Discouragement will whisper in your ear. Circumstances may temporarily worsen before they improve. This is not a sign that the decree is not working. This is a sign that you have gotten the enemy's attention, and he is fighting to maintain his hold on your life. But here is what you must understand. The battle is already won. The victory is already secured. You are not fighting for victory, you are fighting from victory. The hidden prayer unlocks favor that has already been secured for you through the finished work of the cross. You are not trying to earn something or achieve something through your own effort. You are simply enforcing what has already been established in the heavenly realm. The enemy knows this. He knows he has already lost. But he is hoping you do not know it. He is hoping you will give up before the manifestation comes. He is hoping you will surrender your decree when the pressure intensifies. Do not give him that satisfaction. Stand firm. Maintain your confession. Continue decreeing favor no matter what you see in the natural realm. The breakthrough is coming, and nothing can stop it except your own unbelief. The enemy has fallen. The chains that imprisoned your destiny have been broken, and the battle has concluded with an indisputable victory. Now, in the midst of the conquered field, the sacred moment arrives to advance with authority and declare with firm voice, I take possession of what is mine by divine right. This is not about a petition or a supplication, but about an act of faith and power, a proclamation that opens the doors so that favor flows toward you from heaven, as a celestial inheritance that is already available and awaits to be received. With the force of the hidden prayer resonating in your spirit, you have not only conquered the forces that blocked your favor, but now you occupy the place that belongs to you at the table of the blessed. You cross the gates of the kingdom of breakthrough, feeling in your hands the keys that open doors full of unexpected opportunities. The conquered territory cannot remain deserted or abandoned. It must be inhabited with conviction, with the certainty that the promise materializes in the present. As you sit at that banquet of favor, you affirm, I receive now. The breakthrough that seemed distant arrives without delay and is mine by right, by divine decree, and by the authority that the hidden prayer has granted me. This act of taking possession is more than a simple gesture. It is the manifestation of a renewed identity, a profound commitment with the favor that belongs to you. The victory in spiritual war transforms into tangible dominion, into a real space where divine blessings unfold without resistance. There is no room for doubts or hesitations, because when you affirm with power, I take possession, the barriers that prevented the arrival of favor dissolve and the doors of opportunity open wide, letting in an inexhaustible current of blessings that emerge from mystery and faith. The banquet is served, and you are the legitimate heir seated with authority at the table that Providence has prepared. Every resource, every opportunity, every possibility of advancement is part of your sacred inheritance, waiting for you to claim it with certainty and determination. This possession is not a gift or a concession, but a spiritual and legal right that has belonged to you always and that now manifests with force in your reality. The conquered territory fills with life, with movement, and expands toward even greater horizons. And when possession is assumed with faith and conviction, manifestation begins to escalate in cosmic proportions. The flow of favor that arrives from heaven intensifies, multiplies, and becomes an unstoppable force that transforms on all levels. This is the door that opens toward the escalation of breakthrough, the next step where reality aligns with promise and where faith activates the invisible power that moves mountains and tears down any obstacle. Prepare to receive the total expansion of the favor that belongs to you. Because victory is not only won, it is lived, it is claimed, and it manifests in fullness. Taking possession is a principle that runs throughout Scripture. God told Joshua that every place the sole of his foot would tread had been given to him. But notice the condition: he had to actually walk on it. The land was already his by promise, but he had to take possession of it by action. The same principle applies to you today. The favor is already yours. The breakthrough is already secured. The blessings are already allocated with your name on them. But you must take possession. Taking possession means you stop waiting and start walking. It means you stop hoping and start declaring. It means you stop begging and start commanding. When you take possession, you are not asking God if you can have something. You are acknowledging what He has already given and claiming it as your own. This is not arrogance. This is faith. This is the confidence that comes from knowing who you are and what belongs to you. Many believers live their entire lives as spiritual orphans, hoping that maybe God will bless them if they are good enough, if they pray long enough, if they sacrifice enough. But that is not the gospel. The gospel is that you are already blessed. You are already favored. You are already provided for. Your responsibility is not to earn these things, but to possess them. The hidden prayer unlocks the revelation of what is already yours. It opens your eyes to see the inheritance that has been waiting for you all along. And once you see it, you must reach out and take it. You must declare, "This is mine. I receive it now. I take possession today." If you're feeling the power of this message and experiencing the activation of divine favor in your life, subscribe to our channel right now. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a new message of breakthrough and heavenly blessing. Join our community of believers who are witnessing miracles through the power of faith. By taking possession of the conquered territory and sitting with authority at the table of the promised inheritance, an unstoppable movement is unleashed that grows without pause. What at the beginning was a spark of faith now becomes a burning fire, a divine fire that illuminates and warms every corner of your life. The powerful decree inspired by the hidden prayer does not stop at simple declaration. It advances with growing force, multiplying the doors that open before you and causing favor to arrive from heaven with a speed and abundance that defy all human logic. This flow is not static or temporary. It is a river that overflows, a spiritual avalanche that sweeps away any obstacle that stands in the way of your breakthrough. Every act of faith you have pronounced has generated a chain effect, a reaction that accelerates the manifestation of favor, intensifying the power of the decree with each passing second. The thunders of blessing resonate without ceasing in the spiritual sky, announcing that the escalation toward favor is continuous and that nothing can stop its advance. What began as a key turning gently in the lock has now transformed into a wide-open door that invites breakthrough to enter without reserves. Favor grows and advances like a fire that spreads, multiplying opportunities and causing blessing not only to arrive, but to establish itself firmly in your life. Every instant that passes, you feel how favor approaches more, how the flow of blessings intensifies, and how the barriers that once stopped you dissolve before the invincible power of the decree. This spiritual escalation knows no limits or pauses, because the divine force that propels it is inexhaustible. The favor that seemed a distant dream now materializes with speed and certainty, and the doors of opportunity open one after another, demonstrating that the promise of the hidden prayer is real and effective. The movement you have initiated with faith and authority transforms into an unstoppable current, a torrent of blessings that transforms your reality in a profound and definitive way. However, every great escalation needs a seal that confirms and secures its advance. And that moment is about to arrive. The partial seal of the decree is about to be marked, consolidating even more the arrival of favor that flows from heaven toward your life. Prepare for that decisive instant, because the escalation of manifestation barely begins and its force will be increasingly powerful. Victory, possession, and now the acceleration of divine favor lead you toward a destiny of unprecedented breakthrough, guided by the unshakable light of the hidden prayer that already works in your favor. The escalation of manifestation is a beautiful phenomenon to witness. Once favor begins to flow, it does not flow in small measure. It flows abundantly. One breakthrough leads to another. One open door reveals 10 more doors behind it. One blessing multiplies into countless blessings. This is the nature of divine favor. It compounds. It multiplies. It escalates. You are entering a season where things will begin happening rapidly. Opportunities that you could not create through years of human effort will suddenly appear. Connections that seemed impossible will suddenly materialize. Resources that were nowhere to be found will suddenly become available. This is not luck. This is not coincidence. This is the manifestation of the hidden prayer working in your life. This is the result of you taking your position of authority and decreeing favor over your circumstances. Do not be surprised when things begin happening faster than you expected. Do not be shocked when doors open that you did not even know existed. Do not question when favor comes from unexpected sources. This is how God works. He is not limited by your limitations. He is not bound by your understanding of what is possible. When you decree according to His will, when you speak the hidden prayer with faith and authority, you release Him to work in ways that exceed your comprehension. Get ready for acceleration. Get ready for multiplication. Get ready for breakthrough that comes in waves rather than droplets. The movement that began as a weak flame and became an unstoppable fire that orders the arrival of favor from heaven to your life is no longer just a visible sign. It is now being sealed in the spiritual kingdom. A portion of this powerful decree inspired by the hidden prayer has received a royal stamp, an indelible mark that cannot be erased even by the darkest forces. It is as if a celestial signature has been stamped in the book of life, confirming that the flow of divine blessings has already been authorized and that nothing can interrupt its advance. This partial seal is not a simple symbol, it is the living guarantee that the promised manifestation is underway. A divine contract that ensures that favor, previously invisible and distant, is already materializing in your reality. The doors that open before you bear the sacred mark of this confirmation, as if they were engraved with royal blood that ensures their legitimacy and permanence. Every key that turns now does so with the force of this seal, opening paths that before seemed closed, multiplying the opportunities that unfold around you without rest or limits. Knowing that this first seal is placed is to feel the partial victory that propels the spiritual escalation toward total manifestation. This is not the end, but the prelude of something even greater that is to come. This advance is the proof that the powerful decree of the hidden prayer, which causes favor to arrive from heaven in your life, is already alive, active, and in full acceleration. The firmness of this seal is the foundation upon which growing breakthrough is built. A resounding announcement that complete restitution is near, ready to be received. The partial seal is the sign that the spiritual battle for your favor has been partially won, that the chains of rejection begin to break and that breakthrough already flows with force, although the fullness of victory is still on the horizon. It is like a celestial pact that ensures that the impossible begins to take form and that the promise of favor that seemed distant is now a reality under construction. Every second that passes strengthens this mark, causing your faith to grow and the expectation for what is still to come to intensify with unstoppable power. But if this first confirmation has already been stamped, prepare yourself because the next step is even more decisive. Total restitution is about to open to you through the keys that will give access to definitive breakthrough. The escalation does not stop here. With each seal, with each key that turns, you come closer to the fullness of the promise of the hidden prayer, where favor arrives without effort from heaven and doors of opportunity open wide, ready to receive you in a constant flow of blessings. The path toward that total restitution is already marked, and soon you will discover the keys that will make it possible. The concept of a seal is significant in Scripture. A seal represents ownership, authority, and security. When a king would seal a decree, that seal meant the decree could not be altered or revoked. It was established as law. The seal you are receiving on your life right now through the hidden prayer carries that same weight of authority. Heaven is placing its seal on you. God is marking you as His own. The favor that is flowing toward you is not temporary or conditional. It is sealed. It is established. It is permanent. No weapon formed against it can prosper because it carries the seal of divine authority. This should give you tremendous confidence as you move forward. You are not hoping that maybe things will work out. You are not crossing your fingers and wishing for the best. You are walking in the assurance that comes from knowing you carry heaven's seal. When challenges arise, when circumstances seem to contradict your decree, when the enemy whispers that it is not going to work, you can stand firm in the knowledge that you are sealed. The favor on your life is not dependent on circumstances. It is dependent on a decree that has been sealed in the heavenly realm. And what God has sealed, no man and no demon can unseal. Walk in the confidence of one who knows they are sealed, marked, chosen, and favored. This knowledge will carry you through every challenge until the complete manifestation arrives. The partial seal has already been stamped and the celestial guarantee has been released over your life. Now it is inevitable that everything that was taken from you, withheld or unjustly denied, begins to return to you. The moment of full restitution has arrived, a divine justice that not only recognizes what belongs to you, but forces the enemy to return it multiplied with honor and breakthrough that exceed all expectation. The powerful decree inspired by the hidden prayer not only opens the door so that favor arrives from heaven to your life, but orders that every stolen opportunity be restituted abundantly, like a dammed river that finally breaks its dikes and overflows with unstoppable force. The ancient keys that seemed hidden in the shadows now are delivered into your hands with authority, turning in locks that guard doors full of blessings and opportunities. These doors, which before remained sealed by injustice and lack of faith, open to release not only favor, but also honor, joy, and renewed opportunities that transform your reality. The defeated enemy, without power, is forced to restitute what belongs to you without excuses or delays, because in the spiritual kingdom your right has been declared and sealed. There is no partial or lukewarm restitution. The return is complete and multiplied 7 times more, like the abundant harvest that exceeds the sowing, like the treasure that multiplies by divine grace. Every instant confirms that spiritual justice is becoming effective right now. What seemed lost or unjustly withheld no longer has force to sustain itself against the power of the powerful decree of the hidden prayer that causes favor to arrive from heaven. The gates open before you marked with celestial authority and the flow of blessings begins to pour without limits, bringing with it the total restoration of everything that was taken. Restitution not only replaces what left, but also restores your dignity and opens paths for sustained and abundant advancement. The current of favor that now flows is the result of a justice that cannot be stopped or reversed. Restitution is your legitimate right in the spiritual world, a divine mandate that advances implacably toward the fullness of your breakthrough. And while this restitution has already begun to manifest in your life, prepare yourself, because the next step is even more grandiose: supernatural multiplication. The favor that arrives from heaven will not only be recovered, but will grow in an extraordinary way, taking your life to levels you never before imagined. The promise of the hidden prayer is fulfilled with growing power and the path toward multiplication is ready to be traveled. What began as restitution of what was taken from you is already underway, arriving in your hands with power and authority. But this decree inspired by the hidden prayer does not settle for returning what was lost. Its nature is to transform that return into a growing current of blessings. The favor that arrives from heaven not only returns, but multiplies like seeds that upon touching the fertile earth of your faith sprout and fill your life with unexpected and abundant fruits. Imagine now a river that overflows, that can no longer be contained by its banks, extending its flow to valleys and mountains, bringing life and breakthrough to every corner of your existence. Thus is the multiplication that has been unleashed in your spiritual reality. A growth without limits, a favor that breaks the barriers of the limited and expands with unstoppable force. What before seemed scarce and controlled now flows free and in excess, and every blessing received becomes the seed of many others, creating an endless cycle of breakthrough. The hidden prayer acts as a divine decree that not only opens doors, but multiplies entrances. Every opportunity that presents itself divides into 10 new opportunities, and what was a small blessing now transforms into an abundant harvest, a true storehouse overflowing with provision. The field of your life flourishes with fruits you did not even sow, because heaven itself has decreed this supernatural multiplication. It is not simply an increase, it is an exponential growth that defies all human logic and confirms that favor can arrive from heaven, multiplying in unexpected and generous sources. This process of multiplication is an inescapable spiritual principle, a divine law that always exceeds restitution. You no longer only recover what was taken from you, but receive much more, on a scale that goes far beyond what you ever imagined. Favor becomes a torrent that runs without stopping, a blessing that knows no limits or end, and that transforms your life into a living testimony of the power of the hidden prayer. However, this growing flow of breakthrough demands that your mind be protected, that you not allow doubt or discouragement to infiltrate and stop this blessing. For this multiplication to sustain itself and continue expanding, it is fundamental that your interior become a shielded garden, a fertile space where only seeds of faith, hope, and unshakable conviction are sown. Thus, while you enjoy this supernatural multiplication that has already begun to manifest, prepare to discover how to protect and cultivate this inner garden that will sustain forever the favor that the hidden prayer has brought to your life. The next stage will lead you to shield your mind against all doubt, ensuring that the favor that arrives from heaven not only maintains itself, but grows without end. The supernatural multiplication that already overflows in your life is an unstoppable river of blessings and breakthrough. But for this current not to dry up or stagnate, it is fundamental that your mind be an impregnable fortress. In the garden of your mind, the destiny of your favor is decided, because there the seeds are sown that germinate in your results. The hidden prayer has not only opened the doors so that favor arrives from heaven, but also establishes a protective shield that armor plates your thought against the shadows of doubt, fear, and disbelief. Just as a wall of protection sustains a city, your mind must stand as a firm wall, coated with a spiritual armor that repels each invisible attack that pretends to sow discouragement in your heart. The seeds of uncertainty and fear are uprooted, and in their place sprout leafy trees of faith and breakthrough that give constant and secure fruit. Your thought becomes fertile terrain where only ideas and convictions grow that feed favor, while the voices that once tried to undermine your confidence remain silenced. The mind, now converted into an illuminated fortress, does not allow the arrows of discouragement to penetrate, because it is protected by a flaming shield of truth and divine power. This mental shielding is an essential part of the powerful decree that causes favor to arrive from heaven. Without this protection, breakthrough cannot sustain itself or expand fully. Feel how that armor grows in you, how each thought of unworthiness is replaced by the certainty that you deserve and will receive favor in all its forms. Your mind will no longer be an open field for invisible sabotages. Now it is a fertile garden, a safe refuge where spiritual and natural breakthrough flourish without interruption. Fear, which before occupied space and slowed your advance, no longer has place in your inner garden. This mental protection is the solid foundation upon which the rest of your favor and well-being is built. And when this shielding is completely established, a new door will open before you, the final door of your promised inheritance, ready to be crossed and bring to your life an even greater fullness. Prepare yourself, because this stage is only the beginning of a path that will lead you to discover that definitive threshold where favor and blessing become permanent and abundant. The final door that opened before you in the previous step no longer has barriers or limitations. The moment has arrived to pronounce with authority the supreme decree, the powerful word inspired by the hidden prayer that will cause favor to arrive from heaven to your life, transforming your destiny forever. This instant is the culmination of everything you have prepared. The master key that unlocks the celestial doors and tears down the walls that prevented your breakthrough. Feel the weight and force of each word you will now proclaim, because each phrase is like a hammer that seals the spiritual pact, ensuring that favor flows without obstacles or delays. I declare now with power and conviction that favor arrives from heaven to my life, multiplying in blessings and opportunities, restoring everything that was lost or unjustly withheld. May the breakthrough of heaven pour over me, bringing honor, joy, and favor without limits. May all rejection, closed doors and disappointment be banished forever. And may divine favor be constant and abundant. It is decreed, it is sealed in the spiritual kingdom and manifests here and now. I receive now this favor without conditions or delays. Nothing can prevent heavenly blessings from flowing freely toward me, because my mind is shielded and my spirit is aligned with celestial will. This decree is not a wish, it is a divine order that activates the miracle of favor in my life. Repeat with me this declaration for 3 consecutive days with faith and determination to strengthen this sacred pact. Declare in the comments, I take possession of this powerful decree that causes favor to arrive from heaven to my life. Share this message as an act of faith, sending this energy of breakthrough to others who also deserve blessings. Every repetition is a fire that fans the promise. Every word pronounced is a seal that confirms your right to receive. This is not just a video, it is an altar raised in your heart and in your reality. An inexhaustible source that will not dry up. The final door is open and only you have the power to cross it fully. Return for 3 consecutive days. Proclaim this decree with all your being until favor overflows without measure and your life is a constant reflection of divine breakthrough. The pact is consummated, victory is yours, and the favor that seemed to arrive from heaven is now a constant current that sustains and multiplies your dreams. Do not allow this opportunity to escape. Your breakthrough has begun and will continue growing with unstoppable force. If this message has transformed your understanding of divine favor and you've witnessed the power of the hidden prayer activating in your life, I invite you to subscribe to our channel right now. Do not miss any message of breakthrough and divine transformation. Click the subscribe button below, activate notifications, and be part of this community that walks in faith toward the favor God has promised. Subscribe now and continue receiving powerful content that will transform your spiritual reality. The greatest blessings are yet to come, and we want you to be part of this glorious journey toward favor without limits through the power of ancient sacred words.